Okay. Here with head softball coach Shelli Sarchett to kind of get a preview of what the season's going to look like. Shelli, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So 2 days away from your first kind of kickoff, you know, you're heading to Texas tomorrow, and then you got 8 games. So kind of what's the vibe been in practice? What have you guys been working on this year leading up to the start of the season?
This year in general, the whole vibe has been so much better. Just really a lot of team players. Last year, I'd like to say it was a rough year. This year, they really come together and prove that last year was a fluke and unacceptable. So it's the vibe here at practice and in team meetings has been so much better. They're in for it and they want to compete this year.
One question that I had is, with you opening this tournament in Texas, how do you kind of prep for obviously that high volume of games that you're going to play initially and let that sort of maybe, shoot out from there and then also make adjustments for that remainder of the season?
Well, this is pretty different. We usually don't play this high volume of games early in the season, but with our location, it's hard to get games, so we needed to fill some time in. But we also wanted to get out there and see the best competition. And we thought the best way to prepare for the CC2A was to see the next best conference, which is the Lone Star and the RMAC conference, which are the other 2 strong conferences in the nation. So without seeing more California teams, what was the best way? That's go out to Texas and see the next best competition. And I feel, we're throwing them to the wolves, but that's the best way to prepare them for a long CC2A program.
And maybe a quick follow-up to that, with that being a new thing, is that allow you to also kind of make necessary adjustments? Obviously, it's a long season, so you get a nice look and kind of maybe get some takeaways from that and carry it over into the CC2A schedule? Yeah,
you're going to see a lot of different lineups this weekend. We're going to play with a couple different things, as even though, it's go, 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 we want to win, we still got to be able to play with who's going to compete, who's going to compete at certain positions, what our pitching lineup's going to look like, what our batting lineup's going to look like. So we're going to throw multiple options out there this weekend and see what works best.
So you have 6 new freshmen on the team this year, and kind of led by all-conference players from last year, Michaela Harris, Izzy Starr, and Vanessa Saltos. Just kind of talk about their leadership and what they might do each day in practice to kind of bring along those new ones.
Well, what those 3 bring basically is experience. I mean, Michaela with being 6th year, Izzy being in her 4th year, and only being a sophomore, and Saltos in her 3rd year and only being a sophomore because of COVID. They just bring that. They've been there, they're done with what's happened in the past, and it's time to move on. So it's been nice to have those 3 out there leading the charge and demanding what this program demands out of them and their teammates.
One question, Coach, you talked about a little bit of last season kind of feeling a little bit fluky, but one thing just in general is just obviously the impact of the COVID pause on the softball season is even maybe a little more pronounced, considering that it kind of disrupts the 2020 season and then the 2020 still wasn't fully back on track. When you talk about navigating that challenge and really sort of having to rebuild the program, what has that been like? And you kind of mentioned, of course, some struggles last year. How do you continue that journey kind of from coming out of the
Well, our first way to attack the problems we had in the past with COVID was having these guys get to know each other just in the first place. COVID kind of kept us behind masks, behind screens, in pods, and we really weren't able to develop that team culture, that team camaraderie. This year we spent a lot of time in that in the fall, just getting them out there, talking to each other, getting to know each other, whether it's laughing with each other or crying with each other, things that we haven't been able to do the last couple of years because we've been behind a mask or behind a screen. So I think that's really helping with the new vibe of, getting over the rough patch that we've been through and learning how to play for them, the person next to them as well as themselves.
Mm-hmm. And with that, how do you think for people watching, for fans, how would you define this team's identity? Maybe what are the strengths? What is the style of play that we can expect to see on the field this season?
My hope is we're going to throw everything at you. Power, speed, when it comes to offense, power and speed, pitching, a renewed sense of pitching in the circle, people, leadership in there, experience in there, something we didn't have last year. And right now, everybody's healthy. Last year, we were playing with a couple different injuries, messing with that all last year. This year, knock on wood, we're coming in full force. And I think, again, it's just what we're going to bring at you is a team aspect, not a whole bunch of individuals. Playing like a team, playing as a team, going out there and competing for each other with a common goal of beating up on everybody else.
Coach, last question for me. So you have 8 games this weekend, and then you're on the road at San Marcos and at Chico. Then in March kicks off a 14-game homestand. Is that tough for the players to be on the road for so long and then back at home for so long, or is that something that you're kind of used to by now?
It's not tough. It's Humboldt softball, right? Being on the road all of February because of our weather. We choose, we don't schedule anything at home because we know in February it's going to be a little rough. Even March is iffy, but it's nice to be able to have that heavy home schedule going on this year with both March and April. And my hope is that we take advantage of it. But being on the road is nothing new for us.
Awesome. Well, right on, Coach. Thank you, and good luck this weekend in Texas.
Thank you, guys.